hope you're having a wonderful week. And even if you're not, maybe this is the turning point, or at least maybe it's a high point. Either way, I'm here to make your life better, here to make your day better, and I'm here to give you 15 minutes or however much of lovely, wonderful bliss where you not feel loved, but you understand that you are loved. So let me start by just sending you some love. I'm really feeling it right now. Can you feel it? There's this warm feeling in my heart. And I really, really, really do love you. I'm sending it right to you. What are we going to talk about today, little bunny? Well, I want to talk about Lindy's Garden. It's another episode where I'm going to ramble a bit about my life, and hopefully there's some nuggets of inspiration and wisdom in here for you. I like to make the podcast about you as much as I can, so this one's going to be a little bit 50-50. And remember, when I talk about the Discord and the Patreon and the super secret next new thing, remember that those specifically are 18 and up, so keep that in mind as you listen if you're thinking about joining. But as always, we'll start with a quote and we'll end with a poem. And the quote this week is about improvisation. And I'm going to talk about how improvisation has led to what Lindy's Garden is today. And I'll talk about what exactly it is, because there's so many crazy, wild things going on. And then I'll give you a little taste for where it's going to go in the future. So here's your quote on improvisation. It's another scientist quote. See if you can guess who it's from. In the long history of humankind, those who learned to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. Can you guess who? I'll give you a hint. There's a second version of the quote. In the long history of animal kind, those who have learned to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. This is from the most influential biologist maybe of all time, by the name of Charles Darwin. And what was he famous for, little bunny? What was his crowning achievement that he published at the end of his life? It was the theory of evolution through survival of the fittest. But we're going to talk not about biology today, but in terms of improvisation and adaptation of ideas. And in this case, the example we'll use from my life is this world of Lindy's Garden. How about the origin story of Lindy's Garden? So before there was any kind of TikTok or Patreon, I had two parallel careers. One, as I mentioned last week, was in the performing arts, and I guess still is going on. And the other involves audio technology. And the audio tech one was pretty recent. And in my entire life, I had always been intimidated by microphones and technology. So as a result of this job, I had to learn how to use microphones. I had to learn how to use recording software and editing software. And if it seems like this podcast is as simple as hitting record, well, let me tell you, little bunny, that to my right is a box with lots of knobs and plugs for cables that go in and out. And I'm going into a piece of software that can break itself in a million different ways. So this was the first point of improvisation, where I have this performing arts experience and joy, and I now have the skills of microphones and recording, and I have my personality as someone who's very spicy, as you can tell. And I rolled them all together to just say, I kind of want to create some spicy audio. And thus began the first kind of content. Now let me pause here in a little bunny and bring you in on this because I'm talking about me so much. I want you to think of, as I go through this, think about your own life. And you might feel right now in your life that you don't really know what you want to do. Hopefully you have, well, not even hopefully, perhaps you have one career in mind that you think you'd really like to work towards. And maybe this career has a very well laid out series of steps to get there. Let's say you want to be an Olympic athlete. Well, it's very simple. You do this level of competition and you work with your trainer and you practice as much as you can every day. You go to the next competition and the next, and then eventually you're at the Olympics. So that doesn't really have any improvisation involved. Now, what about another career route that also is kind of laid out? Maybe you want to be a doctor, little bunny. Well, that's pretty well laid out. You're going to go to med school and then you'll do your various apprenticeships, whatever they're called. But there's an improvisation there even you might not realize, which is that you might not know what your specialty is. And there's room for improvisation. The whole reason I'm telling you this origin story of Lindy's Garden is to give you an example of how you don't need to have a grand plan. You can really improvise things in your life. That is the secret to Lindy's Garden. So at this point in the origin story, I have spicy audio that I was able to do because I improvised from my new experience with microphones and recording and my performing artsness and my spiciness in real life. So from there, that's the beginning of Lindy's Garden. And there is no grand plan. There is only an enormous amount of ambition. The one thing I did know is that I wanted to have a Patreon. So the question is, how do you get people to find out about your Patreon? Well, TikTok turned out to be the best place for that. And so I started making PG-13, let's say. It's not 18 and up on TikTok. But I started making the content that you might have seen first, which is the videos of the flashing red lights. Well, how did I come up with flashing red lights? I improvised that because I had learned how to do this flashing lighting for some other creative project that I had recently been working on. So I just grabbed that, I improvised it in the time, and I was like, oh, I can set this up to match with what the audio software is doing. And so it's a plug into the audio software that I learned how to do in my parallel career. And now I had my TikToks. And then at some point I made a TikTok where I invited you to ask in the comments for some love, and that there would be a swarm of little bunnies who would come in and give you the love that you need. And I was very surprised at the results, which is that there were an enormous number of comments and they were overwhelmingly people looking for love. And I realized that there is a huge desire for love and a huge desire of people who are drawn to me who need the love. And fortunately, I'm the youthful infinite fountain of love. I literally have an infinite amount of love, so I'm the perfect person to swoop in here and fulfill this need because I enjoy it too. What's more fun than just giving love to you, little bunny? It's really wonderful. So there's the next level of improvisation. It wasn't part of the grand plan to have this kind of therapy element to it. In fact, I was worried that making that transition on the TikTok was going to be tricky. But now we've got emotional support, spicy emotional support, if you will. And little bunnies on TikTok asked for a podcast. And so the Lindy's Garden podcast that you're listening to was never part of some grand plan. It was improvised, taking what was existing in the present and rolling with it. Same thing with my fiction. Originally, I said I would never, ever release or read fiction. But then writing my own sounded a lot of fun. And if you want a starter into my fiction, there's one called The Lion and the Sheep, which is on YouTube. And then on the Patreon, I wanted to create a community, and it was hard to do that on Patreon. So I discovered, hey, I can make a Discord. And lo and behold, there's a plugin for Patreon and Discord that makes it very easy. And so that's how the Lindy's Garden Discord came about. And the Discord started with 3 of us and 1 channel. And I improvised as I made the Discord, hey, how about we make this like a genuine garden theme? So our general chat is called the courtyard. And so you hang out in the courtyard of the garden. And at some point, we realized that we needed a separate channel to talk about some of the darker things that are going on. If we really need some emotional support, but we don't want to bring everyone down, we don't want to bring the vibe down, we built a support chapel. And so that's the second text channel in the Discord. Then we built the gazebo of inspiration, which we improvised together what it was going to be. I didn't know what it was going to be called. Is it an art museum? Who knows? So we built a gazebo where you can post your art and things like that. And then as the Discord grew, little bunnies wanted a place to post their pets. We added a petting zoo. So all these little physical buildings are being created. Then there's a garden map. Then we just started a history museum because so many things are happening. There was a little rebellion. All of this is improvised. We're just having fun and taking things as they go. And this has culminated in what I really want to talk about in this podcast, which is that in just an hour and a half, I am going to be attending the ribbon cutting ceremony of the Lindy's Garden Minecraft server. Isn't that absurd? There was never a grand plan to have a Lindy's Garden Minecraft server. I originally just started saying spicy things into a microphone, and that started because I learned how to use a microphone in my career. And now the Minecraft server, guess what, is based on the buildings that we built in the Discord. So I haven't seen it yet, but I believe there's a support chapel and a gazebo of inspiration. And even if there's not yet, there will be. And one of my locked audios is I improvised a bedtime story. There's a 30-minute bedtime story on the Patreon. And I didn't intend it, but at the end of the improvised bedtime story, I set myself up for sequels. And so now this is going to be a series where there's going to be lots of bedtime stories that take place inside Lindy's Garden. And now with the Minecraft server, I just realized that the future bedtime stories that I tell, they're all going to be set in different locations because the mischievous little bunny, who's the main character of the bedtime story, has a treasure map and is going to go around and see the world. So I might take us to, I don't know what it's going to be yet, but some location that's out there. And the little bunnies of the Discord, of the Patreon, are going to get to go and build these worlds that are improvised in their bedtime stories. And the surprise that I'm going to announce as I go to this ribbon cutting ceremony in just an hour and a half, they don't know it yet, but all of the future bedtime stories are going to be improvised live on Discord in a voice channel, because actually I'm about to go live on a voice channel for the first time. Up until this point, the Discord has just been text. I'm very active on there, which is fun. But I'm now going to be doing a live hangout in the voice chat, and we're going to build a fireplace in the garden. And that's where the future bedtime stories are going to be improvised. So all of this, little bunny, to bring it back, none of this was ever part of grand plan. You don't need a grand plan in life. All you need is ambition and improvisation. So let's think about you. I want to bring it back to you. And then I want to read for you the poem I wrote for you today. So if you go back and listen to one of my favorite episodes, it's the one called How to Move Mountains. And I would love for you, little bunny, to create some kind of thing that you love to do. Find some kind of, it doesn't have to be a career in terms of money, but I want it to be something that you really identify with. Maybe it's dancing. Maybe it's drawing. Maybe it's writing songs. Maybe it's photography. Maybe it's something, I don't know, maybe you're doing TikToks, maybe it's cooking, maybe it's some kind of vlog, a YouTube channel. I don't know what it is, little bunny. Maybe it's makeup. Pick something that you enjoy doing that you think maybe you want to become really good at. And I want you to give up the grand plan. I want you to fall in love with doing this activity in the moment. And I want you to have a lot of ambition for it. Don't have your ambition be based on any kind of results that other people give you. So it's tricky if this is going to be some kind of competition. So let's say it's dancing. And I really don't want you to make your goal winning some competition, because then you're putting your fate in someone else's hands. And one of the themes of the Lindy way of life, whatever we'll call it, we'll improvise some word for it in the future, is that you don't put your fate in other people's hands. You control what you can control, and that's what you focus on. So for your YouTube channel, let's say you're not going to focus on the number of subscribers. You're going to focus on the quality of the videos and the consistency of the releases. And little by little, you will find that you make little discoveries along the way, and you'll find a new way of doing things, and you'll improvise in that direction, and it'll grow and it'll grow, and it's going to be so much fun. So my task for you, little bunny, your homework, if I may, it's not even homework, whatever it is I want you to pick something that you have ambition for, and see if you can pick one of the things that I described, or something that you think would go in that category if I knew about it, because maybe it's something I have no idea that it exists. And I want you to focus on, let's say, one thing a week. I want you to create one thing a week in this category, and it can be however big or however small is doable in 1 week. So if it's songwriting, maybe it doesn't have to be a full song. It can be a full song. That would be awesome. But maybe it's a section of a song, or it's like a little idea. Maybe it's 30 seconds of something. And I want you to post it somewhere. So maybe make an Instagram account, or maybe this is your TikTok. Who knows what it is? And maybe it can be once a month, but let's try and make it once a week. And you're going to consistently get out there. And after maybe 10 or 20 or 30 weeks, you're going to notice that things are going to change, and you're going to improvise. And when you discover new things, you're going to roll with it. You're going to forget any kind of grand plan. You don't need a grand plan in life unless you have a career that has a very well laid out set of steps to get there. But a lot of things in life, you don't need a grand plan. And I love for you to have some kind of creative identity in your life that does not involve a grand plan. So every week you're going to post this thing. You're going to find joy in that achievement alone. And you'll notice as time goes on, things will grow in unexpected ways. And then you know what? I would love to hear about it. Why don't you do this project, a once a week thing? Pick something that you can improvise with and just grow and grow over the next 3 months. So little bunny, mark it on your calendar. 3 months from now, you're going to email me, lindy@lindysgarden.com or daddy@lindysgarden.com. And I want to hear about what you've improvised without a grand plan, but with lots of ambition. So brief announcements. I don't think we really have any, because I talked about all the goings on in the Lindy's Garden. I guess the announcement today will just be a reminder that the Discord and the Patreon, because those are together, that's an 18 and up space. So if you're not 18, just be patient. Okay. The garden's going to be here for years to come. I have no intention of going anywhere. So who knows, it may be something even more crazy and wonderful by the time you reach that age. And if you are 18 and up, we're having a lot of fun. So now is a great time to join. So with that, I will slow things back down. This poem doesn't rhyme, by the way, because it is all improvised. I wrote it down, and the game was that once I write a line, I can't delete it. And I trusted that I would end up somewhere at the end of the poem that I did not expect at the beginning. I think you're going to really like it. So here's the poem. Lindy went to make a cup of coffee, but the coffee bag was empty. So he went to the little bunny garden to harvest his favorite chocolate coffee flavor. But the little bunnies of Lindy's garden had used all the chocolate coffee as chalk to create a summoning circle in the middle of the courtyard. "Oh no," said Lindy. "What are they summoning?" And he rushed to the middle of the courtyard. But just as he arrived, the summoning began, and out from the center of the garden burst a huge fountain, a living tree. Sparkling water flowing from branches, collecting in pools. "What is this?" Lindy exclaimed. "What have you little bunnies done?" "Hey there, Daddy. We summoned a fountain. It's inspired by you and your infinite love for us. It's the tree fountain of infinite love, where love flows freely for all little bunnies. And we summoned it for you too, because we all love you back." So Lindy walked forward to take a sip of water, and the mischievous bunnies started splashing their daddy with said sparkling water. "Why would you do that?" Lindy exclaimed. "Because we like to have fun and we love you," the little bunnies shout back. And when years in the future, little bunnies look back and wonder how the fountain arrived in Minecraft, a plaque will read that it was podcast 10, where the fountain of infinite love began. Well, there you go, little bunny. I have a feeling you just witnessed the Lindy's Garden Minecraft server changing forever in real time. And wow, what an important centerpiece to the garden. That's the center of the courtyard now. You just witnessed it being improvised into existence. So you were the reason that I improvised it. So thank you for being a part of it. You are always welcome to join the Discord and the Minecraft. If not now, then someday in the future. And if you don't have anything else to look forward to, you can look forward to that. And don't forget, in 3 months, you're going to email me your progress on your improvisation task. Re-listen to How to Move Mountains. That's episode 3. And I will see you back here next week. I love you. Take care now. Bye.